cover, talk about your skills, talk about what you're looking for, and perhaps there are people available here that may be even able to help you at some point anyway. But for the what comes to the materials, like Pauliina said, there will be a link so you can download the materials for yourself. And I think we've had this general rule that as long as you give positive feedback, you get the materials. Or how was it? Well, I guess it was just about giving feedback. I'm not sure if it's necessary to give positive feedback, but we are really pleased to hear any feedback to then improve everything what comes to the materials as well as the presentation, the premises and all that. But we'll start with a couple of sort of like proving points for you to understand that why social media is so important. My experiences with social media started back in 1999. In 1999, a friend of mine, Kari, came back from the Silicon Valley in the US, and he came back telling these beautiful, incredible stories about people raising millions of dollars of financing with just a thought, just a basic idea. And I said, well, I have plenty of ideas. For example, this one idea of mine is about being able to share content with similar-minded people from many to many, building perhaps even groups, building personal presence, building personal profiles, being able to somehow leverage it for our professional benefit. And we realized that what we were building were actually something that these days would be called social local mobile groups at that point. But it never went anywhere. Back in 1999, nobody had ever heard of a phrase social media, even at that point yet. But the word or the phrase social media was only coined back in 2005 when all these top social networks, or at least many of them, were already established. Like, for example, LinkedIn. LinkedIn was established in 2003, but the word social media, or the phrase social media, was only invented or started to be used in 2005. Many of these online communities, online services where people could network or build their personal profiles existed way back before the phrase social media ever came up. And today, I'm struggling to even use the phrase social media because I don't think it anymore, at least to for example, children the age of my kids, it doesn't even mean anything anymore. It's not like they are going to social media. They don't have to go to these special places where people build networks or build personal profiles. They have their mobiles and they are online and they are using their social media, or what we call social media, without any specific name. They have just the buttons, they have their avatars in their mobile phones, and it's nothing fancy, it's nothing spectacular, it's nothing special. And to people my age, we still need to use the term social media to explain that yes, you will actually go online, you will have to go online, you will have to network with people, you will have to tell things about yourself, or at least build a basic presence so that you can learn from others. And today, when I was finalizing these materials, I was thinking, should I even use the word social media anymore? I sent the materials to Jonas, and I was thinking, what if I was just talking about, searching for jobs online? Or do I even have to say online? Because these days, like events like this is a local social community here. This is a social media itself. This premises here and this event here with you people. But what I find very problematic these days is that the older people I'm talking to, the more I have to explain that yes, you have to talk about yourself. You have to make your presence known. You have to tell about your skills. You may even have to brag a bit. And it's not very common for Finns to naturally talk about their skills, their achievements, their responsibilities. Many of us still feel that these are private things, private issues, and it's hard to define what is personal and what is public. What is personal in regards to like personal interest rather than professional interests or skills? Are we or should we be telling about things that we did while employed by a certain organization, because the organization itself may have forbid you for ever using social media or telling about your skills. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of organizations still try to somehow forbid people to go online and use services like for example Facebook these days. I do understand the problematic there. I mean, there's a problem in what can be and what should be said online about, and publicly said, about an organization, about its products, about its services, about its tools or processes, about its personnel and responsibilities, or even customers and customer cases. Sure, there are issues there, but if we as an employer have been smart, hiring smart people, we should be able to trust them enough that smart people know what they can and what they cannot say online these days. We shouldn't build barriers anymore or silos that only a certain business unit or people with certain job title are able to talk about the organization. These days, when companies build employer brand, they are trying to convince people that yes, this would be the perfect place for you to continue your career and develop yourself. And by building employer brand, well, they sort of have to make their employees present. They have to present their employees as the skilled individuals that they are. Based on just about every communication study throughout the last decade or so, all studies show that individual people, individual employees are so much more important, so much more convincing, credible advocates for the organization. They are the honeypot for new customers and better job applicants, that we should, rather than build employer brand, we should be building employee brands, personal brands of our best employees. And today, when I'm not just touching base on what comes to finding jobs online, or about finding opportunities, about the information that organizations tell about themselves, but to network and find people that work in interesting organizations, people that may not be working as senior managers, that they would be the hiring managers, or people that wouldn't be working for HR or as recruiters, but people who are the best skilled individuals within an organization. Talk to them. Talk to the people that you find interesting. Talk to the people and network with the people that have similar skills that you have. Find companies that already are employing people with similar skills that you have. These are the people you want to talk to. These are the people that will tell you the true story, how it would be to work for a certain organization. How are they treating their employees? What kind of salaries they're paying, what kind of interview processes, how these people are able to express themselves as well as to develop their careers within an organization. These are the people you want to talk to. People that work in top management, people that work in recruitment and in HR are not credible, trustworthy advocates of the organization anymore. They are building an image with a certain agenda. Talk to the people that have similar skills, people like yourself, and you will learn much more about the organization than you will ever will from any employer provided content, any job advert or career story that they provide. No organization says that, hey, yeah, we had 7 layoffs and we're probably going to have a couple of more before things turn better. What they are saying that yes, this would even after 7 rounds of layoffs, this would be the perfect opportunity, and this would be the looking glass to the future. They are presenting the best of themselves. Of course they are. Talk to people, network with individual people. That's the best advice that I can give you today. But what comes to expressing yourself, explaining your skills, making it visible, as well as finding the actual job opportunities. We'll be talking about job advertising a bit. This is what the presentation materials are all about. But what I'm talking to you is more about the tips and tricks and the mindset behind all of these possibilities that social media provides us these days. Back in 2004, when I got my first LinkedIn invitation, I was flabbergasted. I was astonished. There was a service that seemed to provide all these features that I had been missing since 1999, since we started building our own social media startup. Well, it never went anywhere. The idea of building mobile communities in 1999 was crazy idea. 2004 even it was a crazy idea. The mobile phones back in 2004 didn't even have enough memory that they would have even hypothetically be able to run our application. But when LinkedIn came out, and LinkedIn came out as a public service in the autumn of 2003, Finland and Finns were for a short while was the biggest nation in LinkedIn. Soon after launch, the LinkedIn invitations started rolling in through Nokia's address books to all Finnish top ICT companies, and for a short while Finland was the greatest nation. But of course, when the Nokia engineers, the IT engineers didn't find any use of LinkedIn, well, I guess LinkedIn was long forgotten in Finland. All the way until 2008, in just about November 2008, Finland's economy started a major downfall almost overnight, and Finland started finding LinkedIn again. But throughout the years, LinkedIn has remained, or at least in many people's minds, remained as having a status of being only for engineers or only for people with higher education, people with a technical job function. And it would be only for recruitment or job hunting purposes. Whereas other Nordic countries, most of Europe in fact, has found LinkedIn as a great marketplace for skills, for people, for products and services. But for some reason, and I guess it is because of the fact that Finland was very early adopter within LinkedIn and had a sort of too focused mindset on only being a service for recruitment and job seeking purposes, as well as for IT skilled individuals or highly educated individuals. LinkedIn still today suffers from the fact, and it can be seen as the penetration rate compared to population. In Finland, roughly about 20% of all individuals, whole population uses LinkedIn, whereas just about similar sized country in Denmark, the same rate is 40. Danish are over half more active LinkedIn users than Finns. Most Western Europe is. And one of the things that I hope that you take home from today is that LinkedIn is not and as a recruiter, I've hired a huge amount of people through LinkedIn. I know that it works. It works better than any other tool. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to start with something else. And we'll end with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually going to be part of the last hour. For the first roughly about an hour and a half, we'll go through a couple of other options. In the summer of 2016, Sitra, an NGO researching Finnish population and Finland as such, launched a research and found that roughly about one fourth of all Finns that had been hired and that had been first of all researched but hired during the past 24 months, only one fourth of them got a job by applying for a publicly open position, a job opportunity or job advert that could be found at Monster, or you got the of the traditional news media, newspapers, or at the unemployment office web pages. Only 4% of them were hired or recruited through the unemployment office. So roughly about 2 people in today's audience here would get a job through the unemployment office. It means that most of you have to do a hell of a lot of footwork in order to be found, in order to be recruited to the kind of position you wish to have. And according to Sitra's research, roughly about 70% of all research individuals, all the people that had been employed, had somehow used their personal networks for their benefit. Just about all these opportunities listed here, so being proactive, approaching employers, interesting organizations yourself, becoming headhunted, so being found, usually online, founding internal opportunities even, announcing availability through, for example, your Facebook activity or other professional, already pre-established professional networks. All these combined means that your personal network, whether it's online or offline, is the greatest opportunity to be employed in Finland in 2018. Whether it's about you asking for help from friends at Facebook or online, getting in contact with previous colleagues or previous customers, asking for help or support or advice on finding opportunities within their employer or within their networks. Whether it is about you going online and trying to find the so-called hidden job market, which actually is going to be quite huge today. A huge part of the presentation will be about the hidden job market. It's all about your own activity. Unfortunately, and I'm not blaming the unemployment office as such, the personnel or the Ministry of Employment as such, but the possibilities, the ability for them to support in your job search has decreased significantly throughout the last few years. There have been specific unemployment offices focused only on highly educated people, the academic job seekers. There have been special cases, special projects that have been focusing on non-Finnish speakers in the job market. But most of these projects and most of these offices have been either shut down or they have been transformed into these general unemployment offices that are supposed to support everyone with everything, which means that they are not good at doing anything to anyone. So the responsibility has become yours. You need to do the footwork. And to me, professional social networks, especially online, the services like LinkedIn, Facebook and Twitter have become significantly most important as a recruiter just because they are so easy to use, because we already have the existing networks. We have features that support the possibilities to brand ourselves or at least tell our story about our skills or about our achievements and responsibilities and whatever. So we don't have to start from scratch. We usually have the professional or personal networks existing in place already. We don't have to start from scratch. We can start with the people that we already know and expand those to people that we perhaps meet even today. People that perhaps are already looking for people like us. A great number of recruiters these days are using social media to look for individuals skilled with certain skills. And not just headhunters, but traditional recruiters are turning to social media just because it's so easy to use. Because we can just go to LinkedIn, where there's roughly about 1.1 million Finns with profiles that have enough information that we can identify people with their skills, with their responsibilities, at least in most cases. Some even with in-depth information about the exact skills, exact situation in life, exact contact details, how to reach these people for free. So why would we have to go, or why would we go to places like Monster or Oikotie? Why would we go to print media to pay thousands of euros or online services like Monster and Oikotie, where we pay hundreds of euros for a single ad or hundreds of euros to access a couple of hundred interesting profiles, when we're going to go online and search for millions of people for free, and in most cases even contact them for free. In many cases even use references to identify if people are are cultural fit for the kind of people that we're looking for. And this is a scary picture. This is supposed to scare you, at least. This is the so-called social media prism. It is highlighting all the main categories how social media services are categorized these days. There are hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of social media services. Nobody ever really knows, because they are all the time changing, emerging. They are being established, they are dying, they are merging to each other, they change their names, they change their features, and some of them become relevant to us, some of them become invalid to us, based on the changes that happen. But it's absolutely impossible to find all the relevant services online that you may or could use in your job search. All countries, I would say just about all countries in the world, have their own specific social networks. In Finland we have Suomi 24, we have Homma Forum and plenty of others. When you go to Sweden, when you go to Denmark, when you go to Germany, or when you go to Russia, they all have their own distinct social media services. But in most cases, they are just not big enough to be considered relevant channels for you to become active. You really need to pick your fights, because there are so many services out there, and even if we look at the big ones, even if we look at services that each have at least 500,000 Finns per month using the service, we still find 8 services that you could leverage for your job search. All these 8 services have plenty of job opportunities. Yes, even WhatsApp. Even if I don't consider WhatsApp really being a real social media service, because of the nature that its most discussions are private, or at least you are unable to do searches, you are unable to find information as such. WhatsApp, you can basically count WhatsApp out of here, but companies like Barona, Optim and Eilakaisla, 3 major Finnish recruitment agencies, are using WhatsApp to advertise for jobs, but only for individuals that have already enrolled to their WhatsApp groups. So if we count WhatsApp out, we have 7 left. Now Facebook is a great service for mass marketing even job opportunities, or for you to leverage your personal network. Most likely you have a Facebook account if you have a social media account. Roughly about 2.5 million Finns use Facebook on a monthly basis. And an increasing number of organizations are using Facebook for professional use, not just for B2C, but for B2B marketing and for recruitment purposes. And now that Facebook has launched Facebook Jobs, an actual job entity within Facebook, it is expected to reach a fairly great amount of Finns and Finnish organizations that will be advertising their jobs in Facebook, and only on Facebook, just because it is a big enough service for an organization to focus on just the 2.5 million users that use it on a monthly basis. How many of you have heard of Facebook Jobs yet? Exactly. 1, Pauliina. Exactly. Facebook Jobs is available in Finland already, but basically nobody is using it yet, because only a handful of people have already gotten access to it, and most organizations have not realized that it would be a beneficial tool for them yet. So we would have to wait for a couple of months, but during spring I expect Facebook Jobs to take off even in Finland, in the autumn latest. But during spring you should take notice on Facebook Jobs. Then YouTube, 2.3 million monthly users. A great amount of Finnish organizations are using YouTube to build their employer brand, not to advertise individual jobs as such. Some of them do even that, but to build their employer brand. So telling career stories, telling about the culture, the values that the organization has, and plenty of other information that you may use for your benefit when considering certain organizations, whether they are companies that represent the kind of values and culture that you are expecting from an organization that you wish to work for. But YouTube and videos as such is becoming the new black in recruitment. Video job adverts, video job applications, video interviews, video whatnot. There's plenty of opportunities, and most of them lie at YouTube. But let's have a look at all these a bit later, a bit more in depth. Now Instagram, over 1 million monthly users. Even if I wouldn't consider Instagram a relevant tool for a recruiter, but just because of the sheer volume of users and the nature of certain organizations' job advertising being so heavily dependent on beautiful visuals, plenty of organizations are using Instagram to advertise for jobs. They are just not very easy to find. Snapchat, yeah, this particular research is roughly about from a year ago, and now it says 447,000 monthly users, but there are over 500,000 monthly Snapchat users in Finland at the moment. And yes, some organizations are using Snapchat to advertise for jobs, believe it or not, how crazy it may seem. Twitter, yes, a brilliant tool. But Twitter has been losing its momentum in the past couple of years. Now that the possibility to use not just 140 characters but 280 characters in a status update, the activity levels within Twitter have come up again, and the number of recruitment adverts has increased significantly during the past few months. So yes, there are plenty of job adverts, job opportunities shared through Twitter. LinkedIn, my tool of choice. Let's go into that a bit deeper during the last hour. But then Pinterest. How many of you are using Pinterest? A handful. Now, Pinterest is actually my second most favorite tool, just because it's passive enough. I don't have to be online all the time. I don't have to make 25 updates a day telling everybody what I've just eaten, where I am at the moment, where I'm going next, who I'm with, or how my face or belly looks like today. I have, throughout the years, collected a good number of social media profiles. Whenever somebody has come along and told me that, yes, there's this new beautiful service called Yik Yak or Musical.ly or whatever they may be, I've always created an account, created a profile for myself, just to see if it would be beneficial for me from a professional point of view in any way. In most cases, in 9 cases out of 10, they have absolutely no use for me. But I haven't shut down the services, I haven't shut down my accounts, but I've left them. I've let them stay. Because some of these services, they change so rapidly that after 6 months, they may become relevant or irrelevant for me, even if they're not that to me right now. Throughout the years, I've collected all these services, and at the moment, I have roughly about 320 different social media profiles. Can you imagine? You can imagine that I'm not updating them on a daily basis. I'm using 5, perhaps 6 services, even on a monthly basis. So you could basically see all of them here. But Pinterest and LinkedIn, out of these top services, are passive enough for me. Last year, I don't even dare to count how many days I was traveling, but I ran well over 170 trainings for recruitment and job searching purposes, and all of them somehow related to LinkedIn, by the way. 170 trainings. You can imagine that I don't have time to be present all the time. I don't have time, the luxury of time, to go to Twitter and wait for somebody to start an interesting discussion, or to start interesting discussions if I don't see a clear individual impact with my message. I've become critical to social media just because of the fact that there's too many to choose from. Too little time, too many services, too many features that don't work, too many services that come up and die as soon as I turn my back. So I would advise you to consider that after today, pick one service where you focus fully. One service that you think that is the best social media service for your exact needs. And it's not, I could say it's LinkedIn. It would be easy to say it's LinkedIn, but it may not. Because for you, it may be that some of you perhaps are better with oral communication, that some of you actually love to present your case on video. Some of you may be interested in writing beautiful articles and telling longer stories about your expertise, about your career, about your expectations for the next best job. LinkedIn may not be your service, but it would be an easy choice just because LinkedIn out of these top services is the only one where there's nothing funny, nothing entertaining, and really nothing personal even. It's 110% professional service. All these other services have entertaining, fun value as well. They're not fully professional. But for me, LinkedIn has clearly been the service of choice throughout the past 14 years. But Pinterest is one of those sleeping giants that suddenly there are over 500,000 Finnish users. So it is fairly active in Finland. But hardly anyone is using it professionally. People are using it for their personal entertaining needs, for personal interests, like we said, like the name coins, P interests, personal interests, basically. But Pinterest has plenty of opportunities for you to showcase your skills. If you have any skills that have any touch point or any possibility to express your skills in visual format, Pinterest just may be your potential next best social media service to use for your job search. Pinterest has incredible potential, but unfortunately, most people, I guess it's the same thing that we have with LinkedIn, that it's only considered B2B and technical fields and highly educated. It's the same thing with Pinterest. We have this prejudice that it used to be something, but it's not anymore. It used to change, and now it's totally different that you may think. But I will go through all these top services one by one, showing a couple of pointers on how to find the jobs within these services, as well as how to present yourselves. But before we go into the first one, before we actually go to Twitter, which will be the first that we cover, the Finnish recruiters have a same issue, are struggling with the same thing that you are. Where to present our case so that the most relevant people would find it. But in this case, they wish to find you, or you to find them. Which services should you be present if you want to be found where the recruiters are searching for you? People and organizations are using social media a lot, but unfortunately I don't see enough matches happening. I mean, people are recruited through social media a lot, but it could be much more. And one of the reasons why this is not happening is that both parties, both job seekers as well as recruiters, are sort of turned inwards. They are only talking to each other and not talking to the counterparty. Job seekers are talking to other job seekers. Recruiters are talking to other recruiters. Say, hey, where are the job seekers? Where are the recruiters? Where there could be many more matches. And back in 2015, we conducted the research. We researched roughly about 450 Finnish recruiters and asked, so where do you hang out? Where do you go if you want to find people, or where do you go to actually advertise jobs? And roughly about 81% of the organizations that responded to the research said that yes, we are using social media. Not only social media, but social media as part of their recruitment portfolio. 91% of them used social media to advertise for jobs, but over 25, almost 26% of the responders said that they perform direct searches. And we are not talking about headhunting agencies. We're not talking about even the so-called third-party recruiters, like companies like Manpower or Adecco. We're talking about individual recruiters in individual organizations. Companies like Nokia or the national broadcasting agency Yle. Everything and all in between. Organizations are going online to talk to people directly. They not necessarily advertise with jobs at all. According to the unemployment office research, roughly about 75 to 83% of all private sector jobs in Finland belong to the so-called hidden job market. So they are not made publicly available. Publicly available means that they are not published in print media like Helsingin Sanomat, Hesari. They are not published at mol.fi, the unemployment office pages. They are not published at Monster or Oikotie. But thousands of them, a huge amount of them, is clearly, easily available on social media, or jobs that you find in social media. Even if you go to LinkedIn and go to the job section, you can at the moment find thousands of jobs there. All these jobs that you can find on LinkedIn, easily as anything, they are considered the hidden job market, because the authorities in Finland, these services are not reporting any of these jobs to Finnish unemployment office or the Ministry of Employment. So they are considered hidden job market. So the hidden job market is actually significantly smaller in reality than is in statistics. But as an individual service, again, LinkedIn would be the one service where you can most easily find the real hidden jobs. Not just those that you can find on the LinkedIn job section, but there are several entities within LinkedIn where you can find these jobs that are only advertised for people that fit certain criteria. And I'm going to tell you that a bit later today. But a huge amount of organizations are doing direct contacting to individuals that fit their skills. So whether you're using LinkedIn or not, whichever social media service you are using, just remember that there is most likely somebody there that may be looking for you. So you need to fill out, even if you consider Facebook being your personal network and only for entertaining, funny use, even at Facebook, organizations are looking for individuals. So you need to fill out your professional information to your Facebook profile. You need to fill out the school where you went. You need to set your location. You need to set your professional interests and preferably your work history. And then, and only then, you may get job offers through Facebook. But it's not just about Facebook or LinkedIn. This goes with just about every social media service where you may have your personal profile. Remember to state your current situation in the job market, your location, and the skills that you wish to be found with. And this is minimum criteria. Out of the recruiters working in an internal function, so working as at the company HR or as recruiters for individual private organizations, 97% of them use LinkedIn. Facebook, second most used service, roughly about 60%, Twitter 40%, and so forth. Recruiters named over 30 social media services already back in 2015 where they either advertise for jobs or are looking for individuals. Over 30 services. Now if you think for yourself, how many social media services could you name if you would have to name them? And I expect that not many of you would be able to name 15. Some may be able to perhaps name 20. 30? No, I don't believe so. Some of you may only be able to identify a handful of them, half a dozen. And in most cases, it doesn't really even matter if you can name them or not, as long as you identify the top 3. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Clearly the most commonly used social media services when Finnish recruiters are looking for individuals or advertising for jobs. Same goes with the so-called third-party recruiters, or the professionals, Manpower, Adecco, Barona, and whatever. 97% again use LinkedIn, Facebook over 60%, Twitter 44%, and then plenty of others. Almost 30% of organizations admit that they research candidates online or do social media searches for applicants, job applicants. Now, according to Finnish law, unemployment law, this is the so-called grey area. Law, it doesn't, as such, clearly define if a person may or may not be searched or researched online. But there are restrictions that apply when it comes to using the information to make recruitment decisions. So basically, recruiters are allowed to research you online. They are allowed to check your social media profiles, but what they are not allowed to do is to use that information to base their recruitment decision. So they can do the searches, but they cannot use the information, right? So you can imagine that out of the social media services other than LinkedIn, when there's no chance of anyone being able to see who has visited your profile, yes, they are doing that. I would expect 70% of Finnish recruiters are researching candidates online, whether it's legal or not, because there's just no way of getting caught. And even with LinkedIn, yes, there is a trace that you can follow who has visited your profile, but the smart recruiter knows how to avoid that or remove that information. So even within LinkedIn, yes, recruiters are able to visit your profile and see, well, at least most of the information and base their decision on that. The other rule that applies or other restriction that applies is that the social profile, the information that is being found on your social profiles may not be stored to any company database without your acknowledgement. So they should be acknowledging you or telling you if they are collecting information and restoring it somewhere to their own CV databases or applicant tracking systems. But expect that you are being researched online. Out of the professional recruiters, 91% of them do job advertising on social media, but up to 64% perform direct searches. So do searches and contact people, individual people directly. And only 10% of responders were working as headhunters or working at headhunting agencies. So you can imagine that all kinds of recruiters do direct searches. And why wouldn't they? If I would go to Hesari and want to post a job ad in the Sunday paper, which is the most commonly used print media in Finland to advertise for jobs, an individual job ad would cost 4,870 euros and upwards. So almost 5,000 euros a job ad. Now you can imagine that it's not a very good option. It's more about branding the company that yes, we're doing fine. We have the money to buy expensive advertising, but it's not efficient recruitment. It may be employer branding for some, but even that I would question. When we go to Monster or Oikotie, which would be the two most commonly used traditional web job boards, an individual job ad costs roughly about 700 to 800 euros a piece and upwards. So significantly cheaper than print media. And with Monster and Oikotie, we are able to measure the impact. How many people visit the profile, how many people actually read the job ad, how many people apply, and so forth. When we go to LinkedIn, an individual job ad on average costs roughly about 300 euros. If I wish, I can pay less. I can actually decide how much I want to pay for a job ad. The more I pay, the more coverage I get. The less I pay, the less coverage I get. But I can decide myself how much I want to pay for a job ad. But LinkedIn job ad is on average 2 or 3 times cheaper than the traditional job boards. Now, Monster has 38,000 active CVs in their database, being the biggest job board database available at the moment. If I would want to research 100 individuals, 100 CVs on their database, it would cost me 300 euros and upwards. If I would go to LinkedIn, there are roughly about 1.1 million Finns. Out of them, 700,000 are using the service on a monthly basis. So 700,000 active users that have profiles where I can identify their skills, their responsibilities, their situation in the job market and whatever. And I can contact them for free. Now what do you think? Which would be more interesting, to pay 300 euros to access 100 CVs, 100 active job seekers, or pay nothing and research 1.1 million candidates and contact them for free? Now you can imagine that social media has gained huge momentum throughout the past few years, but it doesn't mean that Monster and Oikotie would become obsolete. Actually, they are doing fine. Both Monster and Oikotie are growing at the moment, but on the expense of print media and smaller job boards. But the coexistence of traditional job boards and social media will go on probably forever, and even print media will have some impact along in the future. But the smaller the organization, the more people are being recruited through personal networks. The bigger, more international an organization is, the more likely it is to go to social media. And the mid-sized companies, they go to Monster and Oikotie. There's a clear divide these days. And to make things even easier for you to understand which would be the top services to start approaching your job search, this particular research was published last year by Barona. They have this Yelp applicant tracking system, which was the brand that they wanted to use when publishing this research. But according to their studies, LinkedIn is by far the most commonly used social media among their customers. Facebook again, well over 60%, Twitter 40%, and then Instagram has suddenly become the fourth most commonly used social media service in Finland among recruiters. So this would be my top 4 by far. But depending on your the kind of content that you want to provide, whether your skills are easily visualized, whether you are good at presenting your skills in video format or with visuals, you need to pick your fights. You need to pick which one you choose as your top priority social media service, and then pick 1 or 2 as supporting services. If things don't work in 6 months, then change it. See what other services have to offer. If you start actively using a certain service and use it for 6 months to build either your personal brand or research jobs or build your network, whatever it is that you may want to start with, 6 months is a good timeline to review if you've been successful or not. If you don't get any more visibility, if you don't get any more job offers, or if you don't find more interesting jobs and you don't get to the interview stages, it's time to do something else, time to try something else. Same with your traditional CV. If your traditional CV hasn't worked for 6 months, it won't happen in the next 6 months either. Then you have to try something else. Then you have to try graphical CVs or video resumes or try blogging your way to a job. But you need to try something else. Let's have a short break, and then we start going through these individual services one by one, starting with Twitter. So if we could have a break, roughly about 6 or 7 minutes, that would be ideal. So pick a cup of coffee, hand your business card to someone, go to a toilet and run back. Hop up. Sun pitää tavallaan So, we're making faces. All right, let's start with Twitter. So once you get the materials to yourself, so each and every one of these top services have a short explanation at the cover page, so explaining a couple of main pointers about using the service for well, generally using the service. But we won't be covering the cover letters, but going to actual examples. So plenty of organizations are using Twitter for long-term committed recruitment and employer branding purposes. Many of them have established actual recruitment/career accounts that are dedicated only for advertising jobs and telling career stories and going through well, different aspects of an organization, explaining why they would become why they should become your employer of choice. Some of them have been active for a longer period of time. Companies like Fazer or SOK, the S-ryhmä, which is the second biggest, or I guess the biggest at the moment, the biggest retail chain in Finland. Many of them have been here present for a fairly long time, but some of them are really passive users. Some of them only update their status once they actually have a job opportunity. It may happen once a month, even in a half year, but some of them are extremely active and sharing updates, sharing information about the organization, sharing advice on how to apply, sharing advice on how to build your resume or application, sharing information about the organization, its employees, its opportunities, its customers, product services, and whatnot. Really active users. But the footwork that you have to do is again not of the easiest kind. Many of these organizations are not using the most commonly used keywords and phrases to describe these accounts, but they are dedicated to opportunities in Finland. Some of them only use Finnish, some of them only use English. Now you can imagine that using keywords only in English in your Twitter account means that, well, you have roughly about 500 million other people and other organizations using similar keywords in their profiles. So being found and finding information within Twitter in Finland in English is extremely difficult. The information is scattered throughout thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of profiles that may have absolutely no relevance to you whatsoever if you're looking for jobs only in Finland. And even the keywords written in Finnish, keywords like ura, in this particular case, in Fazer's Twitter account, using keyword ura in the actual word itself, within the word itself, means that you cannot find the Fazer as an organization by searching the keyword Fazer, and you cannot find careers in any relevant form of a word when accounting or encountering their account. So some of these organizations are using keywords that are obsolete, even false, or not relevant, and basically no relevant keywords whatsoever, making them almost impossible to find, even only if you know the exact name or that the organization is active user of Twitter, you would be able to find these particular accounts. But some of them are extremely difficult to find, even if the content may be good and relevant for you. So you really need to do the footwork. Same goes with status updates. Wolt is one of the fastest growing companies in Finland at the moment. They are based in Helsinki. They have been expanding across Finland. They have been expanding internationally. They have operations in other Nordic countries as well. And even if the CEO and all the top management, they are the so-called diginatives, people born in the 80s and 90s. They have been born to the social media era. These guys are brilliant at leveraging these new business models when it comes to application business development and whatever. But even then, even young people working for growth ventures, digitally minded and digital natives, are not very good at advertising jobs in Twitter. Because this particular job ad is missing just about every possible keyword that they should when advertising for jobs for Finland. Because there's no, for example, there's not a keyword that in any way describes where these opportunities are located. And they are located in Helsinki, Finland. There's no Finnish keyword, none. And Finns in general are searching for jobs in Twitter in Finnish, not in English. There's no hashtags, not a single hashtag. The most important feature in Twitter, how to find any content. And these people call themselves digital natives, right? They're missing everything. Even the keyword careers in English is within the link. So even in English, there's no relevant keyword or hashtag to explain that this is a job opportunity, or actually plenty of them, even quite responsible jobs, like general manager for Europe. But luckily, there are best practices. The four most commonly used hashtags in Finland to advertise for jobs are the keywords rekrytointi, duunit, työpaikat with the hash sign, so in the hashtag format. Using these 4 keywords to search for jobs in Twitter, and you will find roughly about 70% of all jobs advertised in Twitter from Finland. The 30% is then a different case. 10% can be found with English keywords like jobs and careers. Jobs Finland, jobs Helsinki, jobs Tampere, jobs Oulu, whatever. And 20% have either no hashtags at all, or they have hashtags that relate to something else. Hashtags like where a single noun for työpaikat. But the best practice keywords cover enough job opportunities that I'm sure that many of you will find relevant jobs in Twitter if you do the research. Now, some of the organizations in Finland working in the recruitment industry as such, like Duunitori, have established dozens and dozens, even hundreds of Twitter accounts that are focusing on narrowing down the job search for job seekers to single industry or an individual city. Like pelialan työpaikat, IT-alan työpaikat, työpaikat opiskelija. There are accounts that are focusing on just jobs advertised in Helsinki, so työpaikat Helsinki, työpaikat Tampere. So you would have to know the Finnish keywords as well as either the industry keyword or the location where you want to work or where you're looking at. And then with this combination, you will probably find, at least in the bigger cities, you will find dozens of different accounts, most commonly created by Duunitori, but also an organization called eJobs is very active on building these Twitter accounts that focus narrowing down the search on individual industries and locations. But if you want to be found within Twitter, now there are individual cases where people have been hired through Twitter as such, without no prior or later actual job application, but a Twitter activity alone. There are even a teacher, at least a couple of teachers that have been hired through Twitter directly, without any actual traditional job-seeking process features. But you won't be found on Twitter. You won't get job offers through Twitter, at least not based on your personal Twitter account, because nobody is looking for individuals. It's not relevant for a recruiter to look for individuals in Twitter where your personal profile is less than a text message long. So there's no actual possibility to explain your skills. But the activity that you have with your status updates, sharing kind of content that raises interest, sharing content that somehow adds value to people working in your industry, or perhaps somehow showcasing your expertise in a beautiful visual format, and then you just may be found by a recruiter. So Arja Kuhn here is sharing her visual CV, a sort of a graphical CV. Sanna is sharing her photo with a certain keywords, skill-related keywords. Mona Markkanen, oops, sorry, I'm shouting to his microphone. Mona Markkanen is sharing her Pinterest profile. Eetu Karppanen sharing a link to his job-seeking blog as well as his YouTube channel. And all these people have gotten job offers through Twitter, just based on the fact that they have stood out of the Twitter feed and they have somehow created interest or even value to the discussions that they've gone through, that they've somehow stood out enough for somebody to raise interest and then research their personal profile, see that these people are actually active on the job market, that they have certain skill sets. They may have their link to their LinkedIn personal profile. They may have shared links to their other social media profiles like Pinterest or YouTube, and there's enough information for a recruiter to decide that they want to spend time on you, and that's worth gold. Because at the moment, and one of the top reasons why recruiters are going to this hidden job market mode, why they are hiding the job opportunities from the public and not publishing all jobs at mol.fi, is that there's too many applications coming in, too many irrelevant applications coming in. In Helsinki, when you advertise a job that has some general qualities, there may be 1,000 applicants, thousands of applicants. The greatest number of applicants that I've heard of was in an opportunity in Oulu for a small gaming company that has since then gone bankruptcy, that had 4,100 applicants with a single job ad. 4,100 applications. That's crazy, right? No recruiter has enough resources to go through 4,000 applications well. And because of that, some recruiters have publicly said that once there are plenty of applications, what they do is they spend, and this is a rough estimation, 6 to 10 seconds per application. 6 to 10 seconds per application. So you can imagine that they're not even reading your resume. They are having a glimpse on it. And then they get to decide whether you're moving forward or whether you're moving out, whether you're being dropped or not. And at first instance, recruiter's job is not to find the best applicant, but to get rid of the most applicants that don't fit the criteria with that short glimpse. Now, is your resume or job application good enough that it convinces the recruiter in 6 seconds that you are one of the top candidates? Now, I wouldn't trust on that. I definitely wouldn't. So I do my best to stand out and make the recruiter somehow to spend more time on me, to building good content, something that may interest them, something that may be funny, something that may stand out as graphical, something that even makes them spend time on my applications more than somebody else's. So if today, for example, if I would send a traditional resume, I wouldn't send this black and white A4 PDF format file to the recruiter and wish for a miracle to happen. But rather, I would send them 2 files. I would send them one that actually, hold on a second, I will actually show you. Let's pretend this would be my traditional resume. It's A4, usually white with black text, plenty of content fit in one page because somebody told you that it would be good idea to actually summarize your skills to a one-pager. Now that's bullshit, right? You knew that, right? It's bullshit. But I'll come back to that later. But what I would do is that I would send 2 files. Now this one here, now it's not, it's actually turned round. It's actually on the horizontal mode now. So it's not the traditional A4 on top, but it's actually on horizontal mode. And this is my graphical resume. This is some sort of graphical presentation where I have scattered my information, my skills, my expertise, but the top things that I want to be found with, or that I want to somehow better explain what I'm really good at. And it's a graphical resume because it makes the recruiter spend more time on me rather than having a glimpse. Because the information is not in standard format. It's not easily readable. It actually makes them read. They have to spend 30 seconds on me, and 30 seconds may be enough. It's at least it's better than 6 seconds to actually understand that yes, I may have certain skills or not. And this other file, there's 4 pages. It represents my full resume. Now, it's not a summary. It's not summarized to 1 page to fit a certain length. It is as long as it comes. It is as long as it requires to fully explain all the relevant skills that I have. Now, back in the day, now I haven't been actively recruiting for a few years when I've been training recruiters, but when I was actively recruiting, I had a job opening in Germany. I actually had plenty of job openings. Open at the same time, and one of them was in Germany for an SAP project manager, SAP HR project manager, to be exact. And I got plenty of applications all across Europe, some in India, some in Pakistan, some from Asia. And this particular job, SAP HR project manager, was a bit more hard to find, so only a handful of applications. And one of them came from a gentleman called Volker. Volker was a German older gentleman in his 60s, and he sent me this PDF that already when I started opening the email, I noticed that it is of fairly huge size when it comes to PDFs. PDFs may usually be some tens of kilobytes, and this was huge for a PDF. So when I opened the document, I expected to find something strange and something funny, and I did. I found a resume that was 17 pages long. Now, of course, you can imagine that I wasn't thrilled to receive an application that was 17 pages long. I had plenty of other things to do than spend time on a novel named Volker. But I decided to give him a go, because there wasn't too many good candidates anyway. So I opened his resume and I started reading, and I read the first page, and I think, it was great. I thought he had all the qualities that the great SAP HR project manager would have. He seemed to have it all. I had a glimpse on the second page, and then I decided to call him to ask what the hell did he think while he decided to send me a 17-page document. So when I called Volker, I tried to speak my best poor German, and I said, "Hallo Volker, wie geht's? It's Tom. Hi, I got your application for the SAP HR project manager in Germany. Thank you very much. Now, I was wondering, could you explain yourself in short? Why should I consider you for this job?" And there was nothing, no sound whatsoever. It was totally quiet. And I thought Volker either didn't hear me, he didn't speak English, or he had, passed out. Poor man. Had a heart attack. But after a while, he said, yes, hi Tom, yes. So you got my applications, great. So did you read my application? And I said, no, of course not. Why would I? I have other things to do. 17 pages is crazy long. That's why I'm calling you. Now, come on, chop. Couple of sentences. Give me your pitch, 30 seconds. Why should I consider you? And Volker, in his German 60-year-old confidence, said to me, well, Tom, this is what we should do. Call me back when you have read my application. Choose, and he hung up. I said, bastard. I was really upset. I was really upset. I thought that this person may have something wrong with the head. I mean, nobody in their right mind hangs up on a recruiter doing an interview, right? And I was so upset, but I told my Swedish colleague Sonny, who was sitting next to me, I told Sonny that yes, now Folke is blacklisted because he's arrogant, he's, I don't know, a German bastard. He hangs up on me. That's crazy. And I thought it was an insult. But you know, Sonny said, yes, there's definitely something funny going on here. You know, that's not normal behavior. And we started wondering why would Folke do something like that? You know, he's not a young kid anymore. He knows how to behave. He's German. Germans generally behave well. And yeah, things, you know, we didn't realize why. And it started bothering me. Throughout the day, I was thinking, why would somebody hang up on me like that? But I was really upset. I was still pissed off with Folke, so I didn't call him, of course. I was really upset. And when I got back to my apartment, I sat down to my bed and I took my laptop and I had to open Folke's application. It bothered me so much. I thought I had done something wrong. But you know, it's not normal behavior to hang up on a recruiter during an interview. And when I started reading his applications, I thought they would, you know, at page 12 it must say that, you know, never call me during office hours or something strange. But when I started reading and I got to page 5, I was really into his skills. I mean, his skills were spectacular. And I was wondering how on earth would he have even gained that you know, great skills with SAP HR. When I got to page 10, I was absolutely astonished. I thought there couldn't be any better applicant for this particular opportunity than Folke. When I got to page 14, I decided that no matter what time and how late night it is, I will call Folke as soon as I finish reading his resume. When I got to page 17, I understood why he had done what he had done, and I called him immediately. It was very late I was living in London at the moment, and in Germany it was even an hour later, and I called Folke and I said, and I was proud of myself. I mean, I thought nobody had ever read Folke's application before, so I was really proud calling him. Hey Folke, hello Folke, it's Tom. Hey, now I've read your resume. And with his calm, 60-year-old confidence, he said, yes, well, he's got the confidence, he's got the balls, and he's deserved, you know, the prestige that he had. And I told him that, you know, I have read your application. It's beautiful, it's brilliant, it's the best I've ever seen in any skill anywhere in the world, and I would definitely, you know, want you to get this job. Now I promised him that I would never even send another application to my client, that he would be so good, he was so incredibly good that I wouldn't even dare to send another application to my client. I said that I will do everything I can to get you this job. But please, Folke, next time you start sending applications, just as a, you know, just a fair warning, just a bit of advice, please try to narrow it down to, like, I don't know, 7 pages or something. Drop down the first 20 years or summarize those to a couple of sentences, but please don't send 17-page long documents to anyone. I'm probably the only one ever to have read it, so you know it's just crazy. It's not nonsense. And yes, Folke replied to me again with his calm voice, saying, yes, I know, Tom, you must be right, because everybody keeps saying the same, but they all keep calling back. So yes, you know, Folke deservedly had a really long resume. At page 17, it said that yes, back in the days, 25 years ago, I personally wrote the first version of SAP HR module. You can thank me or blame me, but that was my work. And since then, for the past 25 years, I have traveled the world as either the lead developer, architect, or project manager for this module. All the greatest projects in the world he had been responsible for. There couldn't be any better skilled individual than him. So yes, he had deserved his 17-page resume. But everybody else, and ever since, I've never met anyone anywhere in the world with any skill that would have similar status or similarly skilled individual. So everybody else, we need to actually start thinking about the length as well. It shouldn't be one pager. I mean, one pagers are crazy, but if you have plenty of experience, don't narrow it down to just a certain pages worth or page length, but rather think what is relevant. If your resume starts becoming 4-page long, it may be time to really summarize something, some parts of it, maybe the shady 19s or you know, things that are not relevant to you anymore. But do summarize if you start reaching 4 or 5 pages. But I never ever give advice anymore that it should be of certain length, but it should be relevant. And the fact that what I
We lost your sound. Let's see. Let's try to resync it.
All right, let's see what happens. Some technical issues, no worries. But the CV database and all the technical, I would say all databases where people store CVs or resumes have one thing in common. That is how people are ranked against each other. And the people having longer CVs, and the more they can repeat the relevant keywords, skill-related keywords, the higher they rank. It's about quantity, not quality. It's all about quantity. At first level, it's only quantity. Only when you go deeper into the system or use different features, then become the quality factors. So then it doesn't anymore matter how many times you repeated the word Helsinki in your CV, but if I'm looking for keywords SAP and Helsinki, all the CV databases do is they count how many times the keywords are repeated in your resume. That's it. And then you're ranked against each other. And if you are found at page 1 or 2 or 3, yeah, it's relevant. If you're found at page 20, nobody will never ever turn back to you and ask for more information or ask if you're still interested. It does matter how technically you build your resume. So all of these HR or well, some HR personnel, but also some of the job search trainers that are giving advice that people should summarize their CVs to 1-pagers or 2-pagers. I think they're just giving wrong advice because they don't understand the technical aspect. Because if you're not being found, it doesn't matter how good you are at summarizing things. It doesn't matter how good you are, because first you have to be found. And out of these social media services, LinkedIn is actually only one where we can do this small thing called search engine optimization. So that how we're presenting ourselves in our LinkedIn profile, we are able to influence how we're being found, how our skills are being able to identify, and then how people are able to contact us, how easily or how affordably. And we can influence those ourselves. But remember with CVs, it's not really, it's really a poor thing, it's a bad thing to summarize in many cases. But if you have to, then send two documents. One that is to be summarized, one pager, and one that is your full resume, and hope that your full resume ends up to the company CV database. Because that's usually the first place where a recruiter looks when looking for similar people that were hired last week. Because it's no sense advertising the same job once over and over again if we already have good applicants in our system. So for me, my CV database would always be my first option. Because there I may even have people that I've already interviewed, people that I already have met, people that I've already, for example, checked references for, or asked for their availability, about their professional interests. I have been able to identify their cultural fit to the company. So always the CV database is where I would want to be if I was a candidate. So send your open applications to organizations that you're interested in working for. End up in their CV databases. Set up your resume to Monster, to Oikotie, to all these relevant places where people are looking for candidates, or with the organizations that you really wish to work for. Now, a small side way to resumes. Let's move forward with Facebook. Now, Facebook has some similar issues that Twitter had. So you're not being found. Nobody's looking for you specifically. But there are organizations that are committed to long-term employer branding, recruitment, and career-related content by setting up actual recruitment accounts like Finnish Defence Forces, several different unemployment office profiles, like individual organizations like ISS in this case, and then even the public jobs are often advertised in Facebook across various different Facebook profiles, like valtio.fi, which is the public government jobs. Local government or the municipal jobs can be found at Kuntarekry. They have their specific Facebook profile available, and plenty of others. Many cities themselves have recruitment accounts in Facebook, but many of them are hard to find. Because once and again, they may be with funny names, like Duunissa. Duunissa is a nice Finnish phrase that contains the key characters ISS. So even if you search with the keyword ISS, you wouldn't find the account because, well, they have this wordplay. Now, luckily, since then they have changed their Facebook profile name, but many organizations haven't. Many still have these funny names that are not clear enough for the applicant to understand that yes, this may be an account that shares jobs that are relevant for me in a certain industry and a certain city. But there are plenty of them. Here's a research when looking for individual organizations with keyword jobs. Jobs in Finland, jobs per word, startup jobs in Finland, jobs in UAE, job science, social jobs. There are literally thousands of pages that contain the keywords jobs and jobs in Finland. Same with careers. There are a huge amount of accounts that have a keyword, so you really need to do the footwork. And with Facebook search results, that's not as easy as you would think. Because Facebook search results, well, first of all, they don't show all the results ever, but they arrange the results in a funny way as well. So the top results are not necessarily in the top. You would have to click the show more results or scroll down the screen as long as there are results, because at the bottom of the page, at the bottom of the list, there may be much more relevant pages and groups than those at the top. So you really need to do the footwork, and it's not easy, but in most cases it's really well worthwhile anyway. Some organizations are really active at building career stories, telling about the organization's cultures and values and whatever, Metso being among some of them. And some organizations are dividing the specialist / experienced jobs to summer jobs and trainees, Metso, Accenture, Capgemini, plenty of organizations, especially in the ICT field, that have created several different recruitment and career profiles for different types of jobs or different locations. IBM has several dozens of different jobs pages within Facebook alone. Same with Twitter, by the way. IBM's really active there. And again, a bit of the same issue that we had with Twitter. So there are organizations that advertise jobs, but unless you know them and unless you happen to follow them, well, you're missing out, because they are not advertising the jobs at Facebook Jobs. They are not advertising them at certain career pages, but as individual job opportunities coming from individual company accounts or even employee accounts. So you really need to keep an eye on your feed. You really need to ask for help from your friends, people working in the same industry, which pages to follow, which groups to join, and which companies to find relevant. And even more so with Facebook advertising. An increasing number of organizations are using Facebook advertising to advertise jobs only to the people that match their criteria. So if you haven't added your location, your age, your work experience, your schools and professional education to your Facebook profile, you're not seeing the jobs at all. You are only seeing these jobs if you match the criteria. So fill out the Facebook profile in full from a professional point of view as well. And it's not just about basic level jobs. On the contrary, there are organizations in Finland that have been hiring CEOs through Facebook advertising. So really, really senior roles. Ixono is looking for business development director, factory director or factory manager, development director. What is this? Not sure what this is in English, sorry. Then marketing manager, sales manager, business coaches, senior coaches, project managers. Plenty of different very senior roles being advertised through Facebook just because of the sheer fact that there's huge amount of Finns using the service. So even if people are not there with their professional profiles, then the organizations are trusting that as long as we can identify some basic features of an individual, like location, age, sex, seniority, certain job titles, it's enough to advertise jobs for them and then gain good enough applications. And good enough is the key word here. Not the best, but good enough. Now, video has been becoming increasingly popular all across recruitment and job seeking field in Finland, no matter what kind of opportunities you're looking for, no matter what industry or which city or what size of a kind of an organization. And most organizations use YouTube to distribute their recruitment advert videos. Now here are a couple of examples of sales opportunities. Now Word is saying that they have this future opportunity. There's Solidea's sales manager job, a job in the sales team, plenty of different kinds of jobs, and these are just a couple of jobs that are focusing on sales jobs. But plenty of organizations are advertising jobs in video format, but unfortunately most of them are facing an issue because they are not gaining applicants. So even if they're advertising jobs and they're using a lot of resources, they're not getting applicants because no job seeker is looking for opportunities in YouTube searches. In most cases, it's irrelevant. It is irrelevant. In most cases, these jobs are being found at Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn because somebody has linked and shared the video to their personal networks. But if you go to YouTube and do a search on keywords like avoimet työpaikat or avoin työpaikka, you will find plenty of recruitment videos. I mean, literally hundreds of them. But finding the right ones that match your criteria, that are still open, that are located in the cities where you're looking, well, that's another question. So video recruitment has serious issues. but an increasing number of organizations is using it because video converts better than any other media according to marketing experts. 70% of marketing experts say that video converts better than any other medium, including print media, radio, TV, and all other social media. So video is becoming the new black. Does it work? In some cases not, but in enough cases yes, good enough, well enough. Secondary channel for looking for video job ads would be Vimeo.com. It's not as popular as YouTube, and luckily it doesn't consist of that much funny and entertaining content, but more professional videos. More organizations that are actually keeping their channels clean rather than leaving 2 or 3-year-old recruitment adverts hang out on in their channel, and even increasingly making it difficult to find the new and relevant ones. So once you find opportunities in Vimeo, they are more likely to be actually open still. And once the application period ends, then companies usually clean the videos either off a service or at least hide them. And same with job seekers. Well, not necessarily you per se, but job seekers in general are making an increasing number of open video applications and publishing them on YouTube and Vimeo. I'm not, for the lack of time, showing you the videos here, but these are a couple of the better examples rather than most of the others that can be found online, where people, well, unfortunately sometimes even embarrass themselves, but some of them are extremely good. Some of them make them extremely well stand out of a crowd. People that are clearly committed in using the video, that have taken the extra effort to actually edit the videos. They have added music, they have added text, they have cut it short. They have done a good job building brilliant, even viral job-seeking videos, like these two, Suomalainen mies työtä vailla in Vimeo, as well as the Swedish Kalle, who is making a video rap on his job application. Now, these two stand out especially because of their I would say, strange nature. So Henrik Askan here has made a video where he doesn't speak a word. I mean, all he does is dig a ditch, and that's it. Nothing else. And when he's done, whatever I do it with an attitude, is his phrase. But as such, it is a beautiful video. It's really well made. It's of a really high quality, and because of the funny nature of it, it has gained major momentum for Henrik. Same with a Swedish young fellow named Kalle. Kalle is in his 30s, and he's been looking for sales or marketing jobs without no luck for quite a while. And since Kalle gained major momentum to his skills and with his video. His video was shown at the Swedish national news broadcast twice during a few days, 6 different news stories in print media, and 35 job offers, just because he stood out. His skills didn't change anything, but his application did. And that's what matters. You need to stand out in most cases. It's not always about the best ones getting the best jobs, but the ones that stand out somehow. And Kalle has definitely done that. Now, I'm not telling you to wrap your resume. Definitely not. In your case, looking at the average age, I don't know, perhaps it would be, I don't know, tango, humpa, waltz, perhaps. Not a rap. Well, I'm not saying you couldn't rap, but I'm just saying that, you know, you should do what comes naturally to you. Not doing something because somebody else did, but trying to find your way of standing out. And all these different examples here today. People that have done something different, something strange, something that has gone viral, or something that has stood out. It's not about you copying them and trying to do the same. It's not. But it's about you understanding that there's no one right or wrong thing to do, but rather there's plenty of opportunities, and you need to pick which fits your type of skills and content, your way of working. And do that. And if it stands out, good. If you have interesting skills, brilliant, you will get job offers. But sending these one-pager PDFs back and forth, it doesn't work anymore. I guess it never did. But what you can do if you don't want to do anything funny or strange or really stand out, but just do a decent, good job applicant video, is especially what Riikka has done here. I mean, her application is almost perfect what comes to the length. The perfect job seeking video would be 90 seconds long. Her is 91. No, I'm not blaming her for the 1 second, you know, too long a video, but an average good job seeking video would be 60 to 90 seconds long. If it goes longer, well, people will drop out. They will not be interested in listening to you for the next 15 minutes. You have gained their interest for a short while. Now you need to make the money count. You need to make their time worthwhile. In Riikka's case, she hasn't done any funny stunts or raps or anything like that, but rather she's speaking to the camera. Her friend has recorded this with a mobile phone. It has been edited with a mobile phone editor, so there's no funny or strange or difficult software to use. And all she has done is that she has cut out all the bad stuff and left the good stuff in. So she has cut it from these 10 to 15 second long short periods where she explains one thing, and then there's a clear gap that you can see actually in the editing that her position moves and all that. So you can understand that she has cut it really a lot. But it consists of these 10-15 second long periods where she explains one skill or one point in her skill set, why she would be the perfect applicant for certain types of jobs. And it has worked brilliantly. She started this application process or campaign in August 2016, and during the first day alone she gained over 600 views for her video. She had absolutely no subscribers to her channel. She started a Twitter account for this sole purpose, and during the first day, first 24 hours, her Twitter content was viewed 1,500 times. She got roughly about 160 shares for her content in Twitter, with basically no followers whatsoever from prior activity, all from scratch, and it ended up her getting job offers. But it was about commitment. It was about good quality content, no funny stunts, but a request for people to help, and that was enough, because people thought that it was good enough. It was a good example. She seemed nice, and that's it. But the video, it's not all that. Unfortunately, an increasing number of organizations is using video during the interview process. And I'm saying unfortunately because I think that it's not fair to all people. Some have a better device, some have some are better with their presentation skills. Even the lighting, even the sound may affect that somebody's video is just not interesting. It's just not something that I want to look for the next 15 minutes. For some, it's just a matter of, for some organizations, it's just a matter of getting video applications even if they're not looking all of them. If they're not viewing all of them, they just want to have them just in case you would be one of those top few that then whose video gets to be watched. And unfortunately, many organizations undervalue applicants a lot during the video interview process. I know that the organization RecRite, that is the leading video interview service provider at the moment in Finland, they are doing a good job, and they are helping their clients to understand how video should be used, but unfortunately not all organizations are doing it well. So you may end up in a situation where already at the beginning of an application process you are asked to make a video of yourself. And from my point of view, if I would have to do that, if I would have to do a video of myself, of my skills, if I would have to present myself on video, I would not apply, because I hate video so much. It's not natural, it doesn't come naturally to me. I would rather drop out than do the video. But luckily, most organizations that are using video in their interview process and in the recruitment process as such, they are going through the process in the, I would say, in the traditional format. So you will get a request to send your resume, or you will see a job ad where you are expected to send your resume and application, and only then, when you have reached the final phases of the recruitment process, but so that you're in the top 10 or top 20, only then you are asked to make a video of yourself, or that you need to respond to these questions on video. And then it's fair, then it's fine. Then I know that my video is actually being watched, that somebody actually takes the time to review it. And at that point my skills should already be good enough that I may even get this job. Then I will see the extra effort and do that painful process of making a video of myself. And most people do. Most people don't drop out at that point, but unfortunately many do. Many do if they have to make the video to start with. Because we understand that if the companies don't have, and if the recruiters don't have more than 6 to 10 seconds to view our resume, why would they have 15 minutes to look at my video? It just doesn't happen. But RecRite is a good tool in the sense that we don't have to make the video just with one shot, but rather we have plenty of opportunities. We have plenty of times that we can redo the video. We can only save it or send it once we've actually made good enough video that pleases ourselves. And if you end up in a situation like that, if you end up having to present yourself on a video, whether it's in a situation where it's the traditional recruitment process with RecRite, or especially in Tampere, if some of you live in Tampere or are seeking for jobs in Tampere region, Tampere seems to be the video recruitment center of Finland, because there are plenty of organizations there that are asking specifically applicants to apply with video and only video. So you're not allowed to apply with your traditional resume, but you have to do a video of yourself. And some organizations and some events in Tampere region, there's a cameraman present at the location, and you need to make a video with one take live in that particular recruitment event. And that's tough. That's harsh. But with RecRite, you can redo it as many times as you wish, as long as you submit the video to until a certain date. But consider that if you end up in these situations, you need to practice. You need to practice your pitch. Make it like it was a startup pitch, that you focus on the core value that you provide to the organization, and you pitch yourself, your skills and your background in 30 seconds or in 2 minutes. 2 timelines, 30 seconds or 2 minutes. Practice it at home. Ask for your friend or spouse or kids or whoever to actually shoot a video of you pitching yourself. See if you have these funny manners that you always go to this L'Oreal mode, and you throw your hair, or you pick your nose, or your eyes roll, funnily, or whatever it may be, or that you start stuttering. Practice. Even write your pitch to paper. Practice on a mirror and see what happens. Can you actually fit all the relevant stuff in 30 seconds? If not, think how you should rephrase it. What are the relevant ones? What are the things that the recruiter should really remember? And this doesn't apply to video only, but always when you go to these recruitment events. You know, these events where there are a couple of dozens of booths and then there are a handful of recruiters answering to everybody's questions. If you really want to present yourself positively in these events, it's the same thing. Practice your pitch. Make a pitch, 30 seconds. Make it clear. Don't go there and stand for 50 minutes asking for nonsense questions, but make clear that you are here on purpose. You are here professionally, you have practiced, you have prepared yourself, you have done your homework about the organization, you're interested in them because of certain things, so cultural value, customers, skills, whatever it may be, and then pitch. Pitch like it was your only chance. It may be your only chance with that organization. Let's have a very short break, 5-minute break, and then let's go to Pinterest, and then let's start moving slowly towards LinkedIn. So now that, let's consider that, for example, LinkedIn, if LinkedIn would be like the easy choice for the #1 social media channel to use for job seeking purposes, then Facebook and Twitter come, close second. Then it's a matter of choice whether you're a Twitter person or a Facebook person, which one really fits your style and your type of content better. Then Pinterest, well, even if it's my second most interesting and valuable channel, it may not be that for you. But there are plenty of opportunities even in Pinterest. There are organizations that have been building these career pages and employer branding content and even individual job opportunities shared through Pinterest. But I have to say that yes, they are rare. They're not common. There's only a handful of them, and most likely you're not a match for them. I mean, they have been quite specific jobs, like these UI and user experience designers for Solita or the Digital Jedi for Arla. They are rare. So don't spend too much time on Pinterest, but rather use Pinterest to explain your skills. Not so much about finding the opportunities, and they are extremely hard to find, by the way, because the search features within Pinterest are extremely poor. But for showcasing your expertise in a visual way, that's what Pinterest is really good for. So building folders where you explain your skills, and not just your skills, but your personality, your sense of humor, your dream job, your career goals, your personal motivation through mottos or slogans or whatever. There's plenty of opportunities how you may use all these all types of visuals to explain yourself. And based on the research in 2015, the most important factor why a person is hired in Finland is person's expertise and actual work experience. So the actual expertise and experience are the most important factor why a person is being hired. But the second, third, and fourth most important factors are a bit strange. Cultural fit. Are you a fit to the team or the company? Your personality. And can you guess what's next? Your motivation. Motivation, personality, and fit, cultural fit to the organization and team are the second, third, and fourth most important factors. Only fifth comes the education. So basically, you need to have a certain education to be considered in the first place. But after having the degree, doesn't really matter, does it? Then everything else matters more. And it's extremely difficult to explain your motivation and your personality and all that with your traditional resumes and traditional applications or your LinkedIn profiles. I mean, all applicants say that they are motivated. They are team players that can manage themselves, but as individual specialists as well. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. No applicant says that, yeah, I'm not really motivated, or actually, now I have to correct myself. Yes, these days there are even applicants that say that they are not interested in the job because somebody at the unemployment office said that they have to apply for a certain position, or they are, they don't get their benefits. So yes, there are applications coming in where people say that they're not motivated, and that's making it even harder for a recruiter to go through all the applications well. But with Pinterest account, this lady here, Pauliina Vuorinen from Turku, or actually Salo, once she built this Pinterest profile, Pauliina Vuorinen has been able to explain all these aspects in her Pinterest portfolio. There are her actual work experiences with company logos and short explanation about the time period and responsibilities, achievements, even actual examples of her work shown in this profile. There's the motivation. Her career goal is to run the Karl Lagerfeld marketing department one day in France. Her educations were somewhere here, can't remember anywhere which, but her educations were explained. Her responsibilities as an organizer, her responsibilities at school and the achievements, so awards, some sort of check for the innovation tournament, her personality through the slogans and mottos that she has explained here, her sense of humor, a young woman sitting at the toilet seat with a laptop on her lap, and the text says multitasking. You can give me a bit more responsibilities, and I may handle more than one thing at once. Everything that she explains here is her education and her work experience, both with actual examples. Her achievements with concrete awards. There's her motivation with the Karl Lagerfeld thing and all these mottos and slogans that she has shared here. All of this content that she has shared also helps us to understand her personality and the cultural fit, why she would be a good fit for our organization, what kind of a person she is as a whole. And this is one of the rare examples of a person being able to explain more than just the traditional skills and expertise and educational background. So think, how could you leverage Pinterest and Pinterest portfolio, the visuals, the pictures, infographics, or the videos that you can share through Pinterest, and then share the Pinterest folders together with your application. And Instagram, it's the total opposite. If with Pinterest you can share and tell actual stories about who you are, then Instagram is about individual status updates, visual updates, having individual impact, and not necessarily much length when it comes to the lifetime value of a status update. An average Instagram update around the world gets more engagement, views, likes, shares, and comments in the first 15 minutes than ever again since then. So the lifeline basically for an Instagram update is 15 minutes. Some organizations have taken this ability or the Instagram features as such, Instagram as a service as such, to brilliant extent when it comes to building employer brand. Arkusys from Finland has been one of them, being able to build brilliant stories about the organization, how it's treating its employees, how the employees are skilled, what is the working environment, the culture and the values, and plenty of other things through their Instagram account, but not much more. I mean, most content, recruitment-related content in Instagram is individual updates that are recruitment ads. Now, if you are not following a certain account, then you're not receiving the potential job ads. If you're not doing research, if you're not doing searches with relevant keywords, then you're missing out. But there's a huge amount of job opportunities shared through Instagram. You wouldn't believe it. Some even through Instagram advertising, like Sector Alarm here. Looking for service-minded personnel for their call desk, and they're using Instagram advertising based on people's Facebook profiles. And if you want to understand the relevant keywords, there are plenty of different web services that are able to support you in understanding which are the most trending hashtags related to certain region or certain feature or certain function, certain industry even. In Finland, the most commonly used hashtags in recruitment are keywords hashtag rekry and rekrytointi. Some of the keywords that have been found with this research are actually, most of them are in Swedish. But the keyword rekry in this research alone, and this is since a long time ago, has been found in over 4,500 different status updates. So basically thousands of updates containing keyword rekry describing that these somehow relate to recruitment. Some of them may be job application processes as well, because job applicants have been sharing their content in Instagram using the same hashtags, but in most cases this has been individual job ads. So there are plenty of them. But the issue is that the amount of footwork you need to do is huge. It's enormous because there's no possibility, basically no service that allows you to do these advanced searches within Instagram so that you could combine the keywords that relate to recruitment advertising with your skills and location. So there's a huge amount of footwork to be done. But it doesn't end there. Hold on a second.
Is
Yeah.
there any database or source where you could get the most recommended hashtags or search words?
Yeah, there's a service called websta.me that allows you to do some, well, I would say fairly good research. But Instagram APIs have been changing so much that even Websta can't do any more these full-on, keyword researches. Unfortunately so. I know that there are plenty of these expensive paid services like Meltwater and Liana, what Liana and Meltwater, for example, offer in Finland, where you can do fairly good research, but they are really expensive. But none of the free or at least affordable ones can do very good research. I don't know, perhaps Jonas may have some experience on that, but at least I haven't found any. But now that we've gone through all the other top services other than LinkedIn, it doesn't end there. People still find jobs by blogging. Blogs like Henna Ojala. I don't know if I actually haven't checked during the last few weeks if this is still available, but used to be hosted at hennaojala.com. But for example, Henna has had these beautiful, brilliant job searching blogs that have been really functioning well for her. She found her job in exactly 1 day, in 24 hours since she published her blog. But in most cases, if you start blogging, if you start building your web page or job blogs on WordPress or similar website or similar blogging platforms, then do remember that modern blogs are not necessarily blogs that are being updated or consist of several articles, but rather traditional web pages built on blog platforms explaining an individual's skills or services in short, visually, and with to the point content like what Henna, for example, has done here. So short stories, short explanations, to the point, only the relevant content, and then good visuals. And that's usually the key. But there have been dozens and dozens of different cases where people have been recruited through blogs, as long as the blogs have been promoted in other social media services. So blogs don't just suddenly appear at the top of all search results at Google once you publish your blog, but you actually have to do a bit of promotion. So you have to share your blog content in Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, and then, and only then, it will work. And if you don't want to start your own blog, then you can go to medium.com and start your blog profile in a global blog platform called Medium. Medium actually is a service that even Finnish Unemployment Office uses as a blog platform where they share some of their content. And of course, Snapchat. We forgot Snapchat, right? In Sweden, they've already had, for over 2 years now, almost 3 years, a professional Snapchatter, a person that only Snapchats for work and doesn't do anything else. Her only job is to create Snapchat content. Think about it. We come far behind some of the other countries, like Norway and Sweden, in the use of certain services like Snapchat. And even Goldman Sachs, investment bank, is using Snapchat for recruiting millennials. I wouldn't do that, but some do. In this particular case, a Finnish marketing agency is saying that they've had their trainee recruitment ad in Periscope, Tinder, and Snapchat. In Tinder. I don't even dare to ask how many of you are not single and still are using Tinder, but those of you who are single and using Tinder, don't swipe your job ads to the wrong direction, okay? Make sure that you read all the content that comes to the screen. And if your husband or wife finds out that you have Tinder in your phone, you may say that it's for job searching purposes. And for that only, okay? You got my permission now. But whenever you go online and you find a community service or social service, a social media service where you have at least 50,000 people, you can make sure, or you can be sure that there's at least one person who's trying to sell something, somebody's marketing something, and somebody's recruiting. So keep your eye open online. There's plenty of opportunities there. Especially for you, those of you working in the technical fields, especially those of you working in the ICT field, then Stack Overflow and GitHub are fairly good places these days to find, especially developer jobs and project management jobs for ICT fields. In the Stack Overflow, it's fairly easy because there's a job section at the service. But with GitHub, there's plenty of organizations like companies like Reactor and Vincit that have been voted the best employers in Finland that are actually asking for GitHub profiles as part of the application process. So the GitHub profiles and the actual code that you have created can be used as an application method. So if you're a programmer, then definitely GitHub Stack Overflow in use. Top 3 new career apps. Titus Pocket Hunt Dreamer, and I'm not going into detail with these, but there's always the next new big thing coming up, and these top 3 are fairly good ones. We have already reached the number of users that they are, I would say, useful. They are not at too early stages yet to be obsolete, but there's a good amount of content. But as they are still in the early development phases, then I would expect to see plenty of changes and further work to be done for these to become relevant to everybody. But do check them out. And then finally, the final minutes with LinkedIn. Now LinkedIn is, of course, the top service, but actually, I will rephrase my previous sentences. Let's skip the statistics. Let's go to this one. We only have a few minutes time to spend on something that I would have spent 6 or 7 hours with you if I had my way. But there's a handful of key pointers that you need to understand when using LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is a fairly straightforward service. You build your profile, you network, you look for jobs, you talk to people and tell that you're looking for jobs, and that's it, right? Yeah, at least, most of the time. But the most important thing, and this is something that already one of you asked me during a break, is that, for example, me as a recruiter, I don't know you. I know nothing about you. I may know what reads in your profile, but if you are not able to phrase your skills in a way that I understand which are your top skills, which are the ones you want to be hired with, I can't offer you anything. You need to identify your skills. You may need to make clear which 3 to 5 key words or phrases describe the skills you want to work with in the future. Which keywords describe your dream job? Technical keywords. I have never used an adjective when looking for an individual. Never. I've never been looking for the best or most skilled or experienced or even senior. But I've always been looking for SAP consultants, Java developers, business analysts, project managers, whatever it may be. Clear keywords that define job titles, degrees, industry keywords, tools, technologies, software, devices, certifications. Whatever it may be that you want to be found with, you need to be as clear as possible with a phrase, because if you're not able to identify your skills and explain them, nobody else will. And with LinkedIn, this also is the central point for the keyword optimization. So that once you are able to identify a handful of keywords, we can do search engine optimization so that you are being found with just those keywords on top of search results when it matters. And one part of the search engine optimization is your network. 3 major factors that influence your foundability or searchability with LinkedIn. One is your network size. The more people, the better. Those of you who only network in LinkedIn with friends and people you've met in real life, shame on you. LinkedIn is not your trust network, it's a database, and you want to be found. It's a database of skills and skilled individuals, products and services.
So you are putting quantity way over quality.
Yes, with networks, yes, with network, definitely yes. Quantity over quality. I hope they go hand to hand. But if you don't have quantity, it doesn't really matter because nobody can find you. The more people you have in your network, the more people can find you high in search results, can identify your skills, and can contact you directly for free or cheap. The less people you have, well, the less opportunities. The contacts you have with LinkedIn, the people that you've met in real life, those first level contacts you have, they're not the ones who will use LinkedIn to offer you jobs. Most people that get job offers through LinkedIn get those offers from the second or third level of their network. So people they've never heard of even before. So there's a great opportunity out there. And once you network with someone in LinkedIn, you don't really promise them anything, do you? You don't promise to become their friends. You don't promise to become their references. You don't promise to share their content to third parties or buy stuff from them or sell anything to them. You don't even promise to talk to them ever again. They are part of your puzzle. The more pieces you have in your puzzle, the more opportunities you have. It's that simple with LinkedIn. And with that, LinkedIn differs from every other major social media service as such. Well, Twitter has some similar qualities, but no other. So, first of all, your LinkedIn profile has a value, and the value is foundability. And the network size is the number one thing. The second thing is your profile, personal profile content. Quality and quantity go there hand in hand. So once you're able to identify the skills you want to be found with, you need to use the keywords plenty in your profile, because the sheer quantity of keywords repeated in your profile impact your foundability. And the quality in LinkedIn profile is just as important. And the quality comes from different sections in LinkedIn profile. So which places in your profile you have repeated the keyword has different quality factor. Your profile header, for example, has the highest. The keywords defined in the profile header have by far the highest impact in your foundability. But even if you don't ever make any status update, even if you don't start networking with people actively, if you don't publish articles, if you don't comment others' content, yes, you may still get job offers. But if you do become active user, if you become an active networker, content creator, communicator in general, then you have plenty more opportunities, because then people are influenced by your brand, about how much value you can create with your content, with the comments or original content that you provide with LinkedIn. So keeping the profile up to date, networking, status updates, group activities, all these have positive impact, but you don't have to, and that's a really good thing, because there's no clear definition of the amount of, for example, or the activity levels that you would have to have in order to get job offers or to be found. 1 or 2 updates a week is more than average for a traditional LinkedIn user. But the level with connections is also important. Your first level connections, usually your trusted friends, your ex-colleagues, customers, people that you've met in real life. This is your marketing audience, marketing machine. If you get these people to react in any way, engage by liking, commenting, sharing your content, then a huge amount of people will be influenced by you. You need to make your network count. You may need to create content that makes them react in any way. And then, on average, each engagement brings 130 people more, or actually doesn't bring them anywhere, actually influences 130 people more. A Finnish LinkedIn user has on average 130 network connections. International LinkedIn users usually have hundreds of connections. In the US, if you have less than 500 connections, you're suspicious because nobody has that little connections. But in Finland, 130. And that is one reason why Finns don't get much business benefits out of LinkedIn, because we don't know enough people. We're not open enough to tell that we're good at something. And that's sad. Am I being dramatic? No. Just a couple of more things. We're almost done. So LinkedIn profiles are also widely used with organizations when asking people to traditional apply for opportunities. So advertising jobs, you may find opportunities like with Vincit. So you may apply for a position with your LinkedIn profile, or with Reactor, pre-fill with LinkedIn. You may be asked for your GitHub profile even with Vincit. There may be specific LinkedIn application buttons, so that your application process may be faster and more straightforward than with traditional resumes. Hundreds of organizations in Finland use these My LinkedIn Profile possibilities in their CV databases or applicant tracking systems. The hidden job market, very concrete and real with LinkedIn. So status updates. Here it is, the most delicious job in Finland for digital workers. So friend request, just an update, no actual job ad as such. Or individual recruiter sharing content. Even the company CEO saying that, hey, are you our new CFO? There's no actual job description, there's no job ad. He's just saying that he's looking for a CFO, call me, that's it. That's a hidden job market. But if you follow interesting organizations, if you network with recruiters from interesting organizations, you will experience a huge increase in the job ads in your feed, in your LinkedIn feed. Because there's plenty of people, plenty of organizations that do this because this is for free. It doesn't cost them anything to open a profile and share the content. It doesn't cost them anything to build employee engagement programs and get their employees share the content to their networks. And usually they even create better applications when shared through the personnel's or employees' networks. And same with LinkedIn as was with Facebook. So LinkedIn advertising, job ads that are not advertised on job section. So you cannot find these unless you have a qualified profile. If your skills don't match what the company is looking for, then you're not seeing these ads. But keep your eyes open on your LinkedIn feed, because there's plenty of job openings there. You just need to find them. But these are the actual hidden job market. Some of them can be found, some of them can't be found. But then, the last thing for today, very short one. 3 pointers for your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile header. The field consisting your last or current job title or your job seeking phrase, looking for something, looking for new opportunities, looking for new challenges, looking for work, looking for a job. This is by far the most important field in your LinkedIn profile, because it's the only field that is always shown when your profile is being found on search results, when you make status updates, publish articles, go to group communications, comment on somebody's post, and your LinkedIn profile header is make it or break it. it either is interesting enough for somebody to open it or not. And it has the highest value from the search algorithm point of view. So if you want to do a bit of search engine optimization for your profile, you need to have your skills defined already at the profile header. So it's not enough to have just your previous job title or be looking for phrase, but to actually find the skills as well. Profile cover picture, like what you see here. Heli Harjula, wind power specialist, if you didn't guess. People from Supercell usually create these community pictures or team pictures telling about the culture that is supporting these cells or the community feeling that the company has. Rovio, people from Rovio are using this to promote their products. Some companies are activating their personnel to promote the company and build its brand through brand messaging. Manpower's osuuspankki team. Atria recruitment team. Hoivatilat. Borenius. Smallish tech company Atexor from Seinäjoki. All are using similar cover pictures in the profile headers to explain that yes, these are either the skills that I represent or the company that I represent. Profile header, the header picture is making the first impression. When somebody comes to your profile, what impression does it make? First, half to 1.5 seconds. What kind of impact does your profile header picture give? Human eye automatically catches the colorful visualization in your profile. If it's not there, then eye catches your personal profile, your face, hopefully. I've seen other body parts in LinkedIn profiles as well, and I don't want to see them in profile pictures. And I'm not talking about bad stuff. I'm talking about ears, noses, and whatever. I don't know why people post pictures of their nose or ear to their LinkedIn profiles, but they do. LinkedIn profile picture is a must-have. This is the one thing that separates you from fake profiles, because unfortunately there are plenty of fake profiles in LinkedIn. Profile picture needs to have a picture of you, plus minus 20 kilos or 5 years ago. Recognizable picture. Mine is just about 20 kilos in 5 years. I don't know. Am I still recognizable? Yeah, good. Yeah. Good. So no other people, no baby pictures, no helmet, sunglasses, alcohol, cigarettes, somebody skiing on top of a mountain, nothing like that, but clear, recognizable picture. Then the profile header, the technical point, and then number 4, the last but not least, is a profile summary. Profile summary has roughly about 2,000 characters in use at the moment. And when somebody opens your profile, you've already passed 2 gates. The gate of being found. Somebody has found you high enough on search results that it's even possible for somebody to open your profile. And your profile header has been interesting enough for somebody to think that yes, this is somebody who I want to get to know better. And then they open your profile and they read your LinkedIn profile summary and then they leave. Because it wasn't what they were looking for, or it wasn't relevant, it didn't have your contact details, somebody else was better, somebody else was easier to connect. Plenty of reasons why they leave, but they come to your profile and they read your summary. And that needs to have all the relevant content, starting with contact details. So email address is a minimum. If you want to get any business benefits out of LinkedIn, you need to have your email address in your LinkedIn profile summary. Then a short explanation of your current situation in life. So if I was a job seeker, I would write here, actively looking for new opportunities in Greater Oulu region, starting from 1st of June 2018, available to do freelancing, available to do part-time jobs, want to work as a subcontractor, willing to relocate to Stockholm/Sweden, Copenhagen/Denmark, graduating 2019, looking for a traineeship, whatever thesis program, projects, whatever it is that you're looking for, you need to explain it clearly at the beginning of your LinkedIn profile summary. If not, well, then not. Then we don't know what you're looking for. We don't know what to offer you. Core skills, preferably clearly separated, and you can see the keyword or the phrase social media repeating here plenty of times. Well, that's poor man's search engine optimization. Quantity and quality go hand in hand, because summary has major value points as well what comes to the quality of the content. So the most important text field in your LinkedIn profile summary was the profile header. Summary comes second, and then everything else falls far behind. So all the other sections have much less impact on your foundability, but all text fields in your LinkedIn profile have some impact in your foundability. So it doesn't matter where you repeat your skill-related keywords. Everything counts, but some of them just count more. How did that sound? Yeah? Good? Good?
Actually, a question from the stream.
No, not yet. 1 minute. 1 minute. So, core skills. You can use secondary languages as long as you, for example, in Finland, you understand that we have this funny grammar that makes words go crazy, and none of the social media services are able to understand that, so you need to have the keywords in their basic form at least once to be found with. Then you can do keyword optimization with these keyword strings. So you can add plenty of keywords just related to your, for example, industries or the organizations you worked for, secondary skill sets. You can do that sort of optimization as well. And then the last part is the media field, where you can add links or attachments. Attachments like your open application letter, your graphical resume, your traditional resume in different formats. You can have your certification papers, as long as you've used Photoshop to take out your personal identification numbers. You could have your publications. You could have your portfolios. You could have your job seeking video uploaded to LinkedIn profile. An attachment maximum size is 100 megabytes, so it allows you to build beautiful PowerPoints and small videos. And if you want to add greater videos or bigger content, larger content, then you can, of course, link here YouTube or Vimeo, Pinterest or SlideShare content, as well as any public web page or web shop. So, for example, the job hunting blogs or anything like that could be easily linked here. 2 media contents would be optimal. If there's more, those will be provided behind the carousel, which means that nobody will ever find them or be interested in reading them. So 2 would be optimal. If you use less, then you're sort of missing out. And everything from here onwards is from the drop-down menu on the sidebar and has significantly less value. If you wish to know more about the LinkedIn profile content as such, which I'm not covering here now, then basically it's like your resume expanded or tenfold with all these nuances of your skills and achievements and responsibilities, and you can find all the basic information. Unfortunately, so far only in Finnish, but at least in Finnish at linkedinopas.fi. There's a downloadable LinkedIn Mega Opas that contains all basic features of a LinkedIn profile, both personal and company profile points of view. Also, all the basic features of LinkedIn job section, how to do searches and do saved searches for interesting opportunities. Questions?
And I ask you to repeat it so that the stream will hear. So someone is asking about the language in LinkedIn. Is it only English that counts, especially in the keywords, or is there any use, like using
All.
English?
Yeah, that's a good question. Which language to use and why, basically? So English by default. LinkedIn is available in 24 different languages, not including Finnish, unfortunately, but including Swedish, Norwegian, and Danish. LinkedIn has, in just about every country, more searches conducted in English than with local languages anywhere in the world. So even if you have a local language version available, please use English as as primary language. In Finland, the ratio is quite strange. Almost 90% of searches conducted in Finland are conducted in English, and only 10% in Finnish. So definitely English first. But from the technical point of view, you can do searches with just about any language you wish, same as creating content with any language you wish. It just doesn't matter because nobody's searching. What else? So
Okay,
another
the
question.
question was about the Facebook jobs. If you already know, that is it important that the job information in your profile is public to be found in
Yes,
search?
yes, needs to be
And you-
public.
Yeah.
Yes, so Facebook jobs. Actually, Facebook jobs doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you should anyway create your professional background to your link to your Facebook profile as well. But yes, a good question regarding if one's Facebook profile should be public in order to be found for Facebook jobs. But that doesn't. These two don't really go together. These are separate features. So Facebook Jobs is a separate feature that allows you to search jobs and to advertise jobs, basically, and to do saved searches as well. And then when people are targeting job ads to you as in advertising, so it's a different feature. It's traditional advertising that is most commonly used in Facebook when advertising for jobs. And then your profile, personal profile content is being used as criteria to match you to the jobs. Who gets to see which opportunities and who's not. But very different features, both important. But the Facebook jobs is not really well in use yet. Only a handful of people have access to it yet. Yeah.
Does that also mean that I shouldn't restrict my public profile as I would be able to do on LinkedIn, but everything should be public?
With LinkedIn.
In LinkedIn.
Okay, so the question is or actually I will, if you don't mind, I rephrase your question. Does the LinkedIn public profile have anything to do with the fact of being found either within or outside of LinkedIn, if I may? The edit public profile, which you can see at the screen at the moment, is a button that can also be found as a setting from the privacy and settings field at the Me section at the top bar. There's a drop-down menu that gets you to the privacy and settings feature, and you can find the same there. But you can adjust if your profile information may be shown publicly outside of LinkedIn, but it has nothing to do how the information is being shown within LinkedIn. So information that you create to your LinkedIn profile is always public by default to everyone who has access to it based on their network level. So first level connections can always see all the content that we have provided in our LinkedIn profile, including our contact details. Second level contacts can always see all our all our content in our LinkedIn profile except the direct contact details. They are not shown to our second level of connections if we're not ourselves writing them openly to the profile summary or elsewhere in our profile. But by default, they are not shown to anybody else. At third level, LinkedIn starts significantly restricting how much content in is being seen in our LinkedIn profiles. At third level, people can see in each other's content only roughly about half, 2/3 at max. So already LinkedIn profile summary is often hidden, even if it's there. Even if the contact details are there, LinkedIn often by default hides it from the third level contacts. And outside of third level, you can see even less. But the public profile feature only only manages how your content is being shown outside of LinkedIn. So how the search engines are able to rank you, or people coming outside of LinkedIn who are not registered to the service or at least logged in, what kind of information and what information they are able to see. So you, and by default, you should keep everything open to public. I don't see much reason to hide it from search engines if you have it all public within LinkedIn anyway. But LinkedIn never shows all the content from you anyway, because LinkedIn uses you as a honeypot to users to register or to log in to the service to see more. So LinkedIn decides which parts of your LinkedIn profile they show to people coming from, finding you on Google or Bing or Yahoo, but only show certain amount of content, which is usually, I don't know, 1/4, 1/5 perhaps. If you have a very short profile, perhaps more. Yeah?
Yeah, what's the real impact of endorsement on recruiters in LinkedIn?
Sorry, which is endorsements?
Endorsement on LinkedIn,
Yeah?
what are the impacts?
Impact, all right. So LinkedIn endorsements, do they have impact or not? Yes and no. Actually, LinkedIn endorsements relate to a certain feature called, or actually certain section called skills at the LinkedIn profile. It is roughly at the mid-section in your LinkedIn profile, and the skills are something that you can define yourself, and you can add a maximum of 50 skills. 3 of them are shown by default to people coming to a profile, and if they click show more button, then they can see the rest. But there's a maximum number of 50 skills that you can add, and you should add a maximum number of 50 skills. You can add them in any language, preferably in both languages or all languages that you wish to be found with. Focus on keywords and phrases that are those that you want to be really found with, that are your core skills. But endorsements, so these recommendations or light recommendations compared to Facebook likes, are not credible. They are not credible from the recruitment point of view, because they have been given such easily and such lightly that people have been pushing these endorse buttons just like it was popcorn in a movie theater, but you don't really think what you do, you just put them in your mouth, and that's it. And same with endorsements. People don't think that, or didn't used to think that they are relevant or that they had any major value. People used to click them all day through, and there has been over 10 billion endorsements given in LinkedIn, which means that there's absolutely no credibility whatsoever. People have been giving endorsements to people that they have never even met or heard of before. So they are not credible. But from the technical point of view, yes, they count. They count a lot. So you need to have the skills in place, but endorsements, not. What else?
What about recommendations?
I think she wants me to stop. What about recommendations? Recommendations, yes, a question about recommendations. Do we need them or do we not? Yes, we do. We do need recommendations. The actual written recommendations are extremely valuable and credible, because there's somebody who has put their own personal brand online, on the table for you, saying that you're good at something. So they are extremely credible and trustworthy. And I think they are, to me, more important than the funny phone numbers at the end of your application, where you say that your cousin promised to talk positive things about you. I have no possibility of confirming is that person really your previous colleague or boss or anything like that. And there have been actually so many poor recommendations coming from these funny phone numbers at the end of applications that I don't ever call them anymore. But the recommendations that have been given to you publicly, where people put their own reputation online or stake, and I think they're definitely worthwhile and should be both asked and given to people that you respect.
Okay, now I think it's time to stop at least the official part of the show, because we are already over time. Sorry for that, but it was really interesting, and as Tom said, he could speak 6 hours about this, but we won't let him.
I'm sorry, I'm already over time. My bad.
No, it was really interesting, but I want to let people go home if they want to, and I guess if you want to, you can still come and ask some questions
Sure.
from Tom. But thank you very much for your participation. It was really interesting, and I hope you got a lot of good new information, and you will get the feedback email, and we hope you answer and tell us what you thought about this event and what kind of events you would like to have in the future. So thank you. And thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
One more thing about the feedback. I know I'm bad at keeping time, so you don't have to give feedback on that. I get that all the time. Sorry.